And so what we do in our community is we have to learn to love the people that fight for us. Judge Williams fought for you, and that's why people sometimes try to throw rocks at him. Judge Williams just gave too much. He gave, and he gave, and he gave. And we will wear him out if he will give. Folks don't think about how much weight and pressure they put on him. Folks just will receive if you'll give. My dad was class of 49. My mother was here at Howard High School. She had classes. Okay, so I tell people all the time, I'm the luckiest, or one of the luckiest people in the world. Her name was Rosalie Crawford at that time, and her brother was in the band, Samuel Crawford, that used to deal with the big baton. And he was missing in action. He left Howard High his junior year to go in the Korean War, and he's missing in action, and I'm named after him. So I get to carry that torch. The one thing in my life, I've been to 1,000 colleges, feels like, but the one thing I always wished was that I was a Howard High graduate. Early in the life of Judge Williams, he witnessed a robbery, and he was required to appear in municipal court as a witness. And isn't it interesting that there came a point in time where that court, which was segregated, colors had to sit on one side.
In the court in which I am a judge now, you sat in a specific area if you were black.
He ended up not only being the prosecutor, as Beatrice Pat Carroll Hickson indicated, and the judge in that court, the same one where he couldn't sit on one side of that court. That's that building on Rodney Square that's no longer a courthouse. I don't know how you sell history like that to some private people, but that's another issue. Okay, now, Judge Williams used to make this point. He believed that the real work in the legal profession was in the trenches. So he was a unique person, that he was a judge, but he also was a private lawyer that people could have represent them in civil cases. And so he just felt the importance of representing people. So he applied his talents and skills to enhance the quality of life for others. He has encouraged young lawyers, such as myself, I'm here to give testimony, to become more involved and act with commitment and vigor, resolving those issues which are negatively affecting the community. He was a standard bearer on that famous King Street section called Lawyers Row. Okay? Now, in 1997, Judge Williams was being messed with, because you can tell if a man like Judge Williams is really grumbling and looking out for your community, because then there's people who want to throw rocks at him. Okay? And so what we do in our community is we have to learn to love the people that fight for us. Amen. And so you all are here because you love the folks that are being honored in the different fields. But Judge Williams fought for you, and that's why people sometimes try to throw rocks at him. Well, I'm brought up by the old school Howard High people, so when I see folks messing with an icon of my community, it's my natural inclination to stand up for them. So in 1997, Judge Williams had done so much in our community, as has been indicated. And I was a councilman And I had this thought that there was a certain piece of property that one day was going to probably be a state or federal courthouse. So I said, you know what, we're going to honor Judge Williams if I'm betting her. And so I introduced this piece of legislation requiring a deed restriction to be put in the recorder of deeds so that that corner at King Street, if anybody ever built a courthouse at that location, it had to be named the Leonard L. Williams Justice. Now this was in 1997, but I kind of knew my city as a councilman at large, and I believed that that was a good bet. So some other folks, they voted for it, and it passed into law. The law department, of course, you know, they tried to play the slick game and not record the deed restriction, but luckily I'm a lawyer too. So I doubled back on them and said, did you put the deed restriction there? Because I know how, you know, so they had to put the deed restriction. So to make a long story short, there came a point in time where the state ended up buying that property from the city, and they bought it subject to the deed restriction. See, the deed restriction was what they used to use against us so that we couldn't live in certain neighborhoods in the community. Judge Williams was always about fair housing, right? He used to tell me stories about cases that he litigated representing people who folks tried to keep them from moving in certain neighborhoods. The beauty of Judge Williams is that if you was a young black person and you wanted to talk to him, you had access to him. So you had access to the seasoned lawyer and the judge as like a real person to talk to, just absorb and soak things in. So to me it was natural. Louis Already worked with the NAACP, Judge Williams worked with the NAACP. So I joined in working with the NAACP. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I've since learned most of the young people don't think that's what you're supposed to do. You have to fix that. They're not giving all they need to give, but that's another stuff. Judge Williams just gave too much. He gave and gave and gave. And we will wear him out if he will give. Folks don't think about how much weight and pressure they put on him. Folks just will receive it if you'll give it. And the man gave it up for us all in ways that a lot of you will never understand. I can't fully understand it, and I'm in law. But I've read and studied, and again, got to interact with him. So they built a courthouse and they opened it in 2002. And they had their big ceremony. And they had been told, hey, there's a deed restriction, you got to name this building after Judge Williams, why they were building it, right? But, you know, folks have a way of, when you have power, you can just say, we're just disregarding the requirement of the deed restriction, right? So sometimes you can make more progress closing your mouth than you can talk. Because if you tell them and they don't listen, then what you do is you let them go ahead and spend $130-some million and build it. Because when you build it, you're going to check it. So they built it, and then the fight continued. So they just gave in December. The state of Delaware gave in, and they said, okay, we quit. We talked about it's too bad, and we're going to put his name on the building, and we're supposed to do it in the spring. So Wilmington City Council in 1997 stood up for Judge Williams. There was a couple of folks who sold us out, but it wasn't enough of them. Stood up for Judge Williams, for him to be honored and respected. Justice Center is aspiration. Judge Williams was always about justice. And so it's my hope that with the renaming, with Judge Williams, who's about justice, and a courthouse that's not a courthouse, but a justice center, that maybe folks will think about what's supposed to take place inside when they walk up and see the sign on the outside. Judge Williams is like one of the greatest people that you could ever know. And we gotta have love for our people that fight for us like that. And hopefully that building will sit there for 40, 50 years, and it'll be a monument. Because you know, he grew up right around the corner, right? Right around, 2nd Street, right? So it's not far from where he grew up, over in that area. But that was my way in '97, providing leadership and putting in the legal Hall of Fame. And I appreciate you all putting Judge Williams in the Howard High School Hall of Fame.